All right, well, welcome back to another episode of The Call to Create. Today we get to sit down with an amazing local playwright, wife, mother, part-time business owner as well. But she is the author of at least 7 full-time or full-length plays and a handful of shorter works as well. She currently has a play in production on tour right now called the Lost Virginity Tour. So today we get to sit down and talk with Cricket Daniel.
Hello.
Hi.
I love how you said it's on tour. Not quite yet, Charlie,
not
but
quite.
The hope springs eternal.
But it's being produced in all sorts.
It is.
In a lot of theaters around the country,
This particular play, The Lost Virginity Tour, which premiered on this stage, actually, just over a year ago, is my most successful to date as far as the quickest productions to come to me. Yes.
Okay.
So I got lucky with this one. So yes, we'll call it a tour.
Well, and since that's part of the name, I guess,
Yes.
The Lost Virginity Tour.
That's right.
We can call it a tour.
Yes, I think so.
So you, as I said in the introduction, you are a mom.
Yes.
You work with your husband to run his business part-time.
Yes.
You also have a background in acting. You have a background in theater, like your degree is in theater.
Yeah. Stand-up, improv.
Stand-up and improv. And yet it was only in 2009, if I'm correct, that you wrote and produced your first play.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, a big part of what I kind of want to learn from you is, from getting your degree in theater and then finding your voice in 2009, was there, obviously you were doing some acting in the interim and stuff, but what was that period of time like for you?
Oh gosh, you're sending me back. So I went to, I'm a born and raised Californian, San Joaquin Valley, former future farmer of America, small town called Hanford, California.
Okay.
And people from Hanford don't really dream big. But I did, because I was raised on the television. I was the last of 5 kids, and my mom said, put her in front of the TV and just keep her quiet and give her a bowl of cereal. And that's the way I was raised.
Right.
I wouldn't change it for the world. I could not point Ohio out on a map to you, but I know every single episode of the Brady Bunch. And I know who's married to who was starring in this show. I loved it. I loved everything about it. So my kid dream was to be an actress. I wanted to be Rhoda. I wanted to be the quirky neighbor. I didn't want to be the star. I just knew if I could just be on a sitcom or something like that. And even in my yearbook, you'll see friends writing, someday you're going to be on Johnny Carson. And I just had these bigger dreams in Hanford. And so when I graduated in 1986, I know what you're thinking. I thought you thought I was 35. I know, I do too. I went off to Santa Barbara. I started off at Santa Barbara City College, eventually moved into UC Santa Barbara with the dreams of getting a degree in acting and theater. I'd never been on stage in my life. I was funny on the playground. I was the class clown, rocked the garage party and the dairy.
No high school theater
never with those geeks. Are you kidding me?
Right?
No, never was on stage. And found out pretty quick I kind of had a little bit of stage fright. I auditioned for some plays and it was terrifying, but I loved it. But I wasn't getting cast in anything. And so when I went to UC Santa Barbara, I couldn't get into the BFA department because you had to audition for that. And I had no real experience. No. So I got an undergraduate, a BA, a simple BA in theater arts with an emphasis in writing and acting.
Oh, okay.
And I had to throw writing in there because I truly had no acting experience whatsoever, and I still didn't when I left UC Santa Barbara. It was very cliquey, and the BFA students definitely got all the roles. And I did take a playwriting course, and I remember enjoying it, but it didn't click. I mean, it just didn't register that that's where my true talent was. I was just someone that wanted to be on stage, on television, on talk shows, on Merv Griffin. I was just obsessed to being, I guess, famous in a way. It wasn't about the money. It wasn't just, I just knew I was supposed to be part of that world. I loved everybody about it. My walls were covered with every single actor out there, and I just wanted to be in that world. But I didn't quite have the chops. And so when I graduated with a degree in theater, which is so ridiculous considering I did, because I did nothing. I had to get my acting credits by working backstage.
Okay.
I was up in the rafters changing out gels, for the actors, getting an acting degree. It was so stupid. But I got my degree, and I was proud that I had been there. And the goal was to go on and get my graduate degree with an emphasis in television and radio. I thought if I can intern at Carson or Leno, surely they're going to pull me up through the ranks, and that was the goal. But I got a good job at City College. I had a boyfriend, and I stuck around Santa Barbara, which is gorgeous. It's still, I consider my home. I go there all the time. I'm actually on a plane there in the morning. And so fast forward to I'm doing improv with Comedy Sports, which is a nationally renowned comedy troupe. Nothing like as big as the Groundlings, but along those forms, Comedy Sports. There was 26 teams in the United States, and I went to go see a show. Oh my God, I think I could do this. And I auditioned, and I went through their camps and eventually got pulled up to their team. I wasn't the best improver, but I was decent, and I was a team player. And I was fast on my feet. But a lot of people can do those dialects, and they were just crazy talented.
Right,
Some of my former castmates are making it in television, and you would recognize them, not me. And then I started doing stand-up, which I really enjoyed. That's when I'm like, okay, I can write bits, I can write jokes, I can write stories, and I loved being a stand-up because I didn't have to worry about the next guy. I didn't have to worry about playing off of somebody or ruining somebody else's scene. It was just me, and if I stunk up the joint, it was my fault, and if I killed, it was all me, and I really thoroughly enjoyed it. So I had a regular gig downtown Santa Barbara every Wednesday night. I would MC some nights, I would do the stand-up the other nights, and then I did the improv, and I did the Ice House, got a couple of private gigs, and I wasn't making a killing. I don't think I would have been Roseanne or Seinfeld, but I was, it was fun. It was easy money. And then I met and married my husband in 1994.
Okay.
And we honestly just could not afford to stay in Santa Barbara. Even though we both had good jobs, if we wanted to ever have a family and own a home, it wasn't going to happen there.
Right.
And we had a friend that had moved to Bend, and he would come back to Santa Barbara and say, you gotta check out Bend. Well, my husband's born and raised Colorado. And ironically enough, while I was in college, my parents moved out of California and moved to Oregon on the southern coast.
Okay.
So I was semi-familiar with Oregon, but I'd never been out of California, quite frankly.
Right.
And he came up to see it, and he's like, this reminds me of Boulder 20 years ago. I could do this all day long. Are you in? And I'm like, I love you. I'm a newlywed. I was just in that nesting. And I was like, I'll go wherever you want. And I have been freezing now, carry the 24 years.
21 years.
24.
So you're not a big winter sports type of person.
We snowmobile, but no. And when I first saw snow, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, okay, I got to push a grocery cart through this. I mean, come on. So it wears thin on me. The summers aren't quite long enough, and the winters are way too long. But when I came to Bend, I had the background in improv and stand-up. I started working at the radio station. I wasn't on air, but I was a guest on air quite a bit. They can tell I was funny. So I was slowly making like a little name for myself. I got a couple of stand-up gigs. Stand-up back then in 95 when we moved here is nothing like it is now. It's thriving now. Bend, theater-wise, stand-up-wise, it's a very culturally vibrant town. But when we moved here, there wasn't a whole lot of stand-up. And so I thought, you know what, maybe I'll audition for plays. Maybe I'll get a break in Bend, Oregon. I got this fancy theater degree. They think I've acted before. Let's go out there. That's right. And so I went out for a couple of plays, didn't get cast, but the directors were very kind with their words and encouraging. And then I finally got cast in Plaza Suite at Cascade Theatrical Company.
Nice.
And I really enjoyed it. And so for the next 10 years, my husband and I were married 10 years before we had our daughter. I was doing anywhere from 1, 2, sometimes 3 plays a year, happy as a clam.
Yeah.
Happy doing that. Wasn't the best actress in town, but I was the quirky neighbor.
Right.
I was Rhoda.
You filled that role
I finally made it.
that you had always wanted, right?
Yeah, for the most part. So I was pretty happy doing that. It wasn't until I became a stay-at-home mom full-time where I was like, what am I going to do now? I mean, other than look after this baby.
Right.
But I had these creative juices.
Yeah.
And I couldn't technically go off and be in a play. You've been in a play.
Yeah, it's a huge commitment.
It's a huge commitment. It's a big,
especially in the evenings.
Your evenings are gone.
basically your whole family has to commit
Correct.
to you being in a play.
That's right. So we have a baby. My husband starts Daniel Automotive, which is next to this theater, all at the same year. And so I was like, okay.
Got your hands full.
Got my hands full. I'm not able to be in plays anymore. So my creative juices were like, dang it, what am I going to do now? And I was perfectly happy being a mom, to tell you the truth.
Right.
But we were still going to see plays. And I'd be in the audience, and my husband's like, you wish you were on that stage. I'm like, oh, God, look at that cast, and what a funny play, and I would have loved to have worked with that director. So I was like, and he's like, Mama, hang in there. Just give me a couple of years, at least a year, to get this business. And she's old enough to kind of navigate, at least be older, or I don't need you. You're back on stage. And so I just thought, okay, in a year. And then we finally came to see a play at Second Street Theater called Garden Politics. Mm-hmm. And to this day, I credit that playwright, Michael Slade, with honestly putting me on a whole new venture. He was in the audience. And I was actually hosting a local radio show at KPOV, and he was a guest of mine. And I got to know him, and I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty talented. He's going to be at the play. I told my husband, we got to go see it. And Charlie, I'm not kidding you, that entire evening, I don't think I saw one scene of that play. I watched him the entire time.
And it was his play.
It was his play. I watched him watch his play, and it was like, bing, that I want to be that guy. It was so clear to me, the joy, what he saw. I thought, how can you even imagine?
Right.
Can you even imagine seeing your words come to life on stage by really solid actors? I mean, you would know. We have a great talent pool in Bend, Oregon. We really do.
Which is
even then.
way better than it should be for a town in the
It's because everybody wants to live here.
Yeah,
so they come here with all this great talent and all this background, and they're legit. I mean, we got Broadway stars here in Bend, Oregon. We have veteran television. I mean, we have really good talent in this town. And I was like, okay, that's it. And so that was a Saturday night. And on Sunday morning, I'm sitting on my couch, and my husband says, what are you going to do today? I'm going to write a play. I'm going to write a play today. And he's like, have fun.
He's like, okay.
And I went to that old, write what you know. And I'd taken that playwriting course, but I really didn't know I didn't know format. I just knew what a sitcom, the pacing felt like as an actress or watching a television show. And they said, write what you know. And I started writing about a young couple. He's a mechanic who owns an automotive repair shop. She's a stay-at-home mom to a 3-year-old daughter. And she wants to broaden their limited circle of friends, which consists of, who is it? I can't even think of the names all of a sudden.
That's all right.
Chucky, Daryl, and Spaz. Chucky, Daryl, and Spaz. And those are her husband's friends that come over every weekend for the game, and she makes chili cheese fries, and they go out into the garage and work on his restored Camaro, and she's at home doing all the work, raising the kid, and he's busy doing that.
Right.
And she's like, and that was my life in a way. I mean, my husband's, it was set back east in Brooklyn, which is my sweet spot. I love to write Italian Catholic loud families. That's my wheelhouse, and I love it. And that's not my husband. Bobby, that character was not my husband, was loosely based on us. And he did have friends that they would go out on their motorcycles every weekend. And I'd be home saying, okay, I guess I'll have dinner ready when you get back. And, baby on the hip. And I was like, what the hell, what am I doing? What is going on here? But I loved it regardless. So Tess comes up with this idea to audition 3 couples that they can be friends with. And Bobby's like, are you kidding me? You invited 3 couples to this house? And she knows the wives because they're now in moms clubs. That happens all the time, right?
Yep.
Your wife and your kids have these great moms, they're mom friends with their other friends, and then you get the husbands in the room and all bets are off. They hate each other.
Right.
Odds are. The husbands ruin everything, Charlie. have you learned that throughout the years? Husbands ruin everything.
All right.
Kidding.
Okay.
But basically, my first play is Tess invites 3 couples to the house, and comedy ensues.
And hijinks ensue.
So I literally came up with the concept on a Sunday. I started it that Monday, and within 2 weeks, I was printing it.
Wow.
It came out that fast. And I thought, this is something, this is really good. I think I've got something. But at the time, there was Second Street Theater, there was Cascade Theatrical Company, and even though I'd been on stages at both locations, Cascade Theatrical Company had a pretty set, solid season every year. They had the corner on Ken Ludwig, Neil Simon, Agatha Christie, A Christmas Show. I mean, they had it down. They didn't need me. They didn't need my works,
Right.
Adam, even though I pitched it to them. And like, you know, cute, but no. And understandably so. And at the time, Second Street Theater was actually for sale.
Oh.
Marilyn Toma and her husband were going through a divorce, and they had set their season up until December, and their last show was Harvey, and that was it. And I'm like, okay, so I'll just start pitching it to other playhouses in Oregon, let them know I'm an Oregon playwright, and I've got this great play. And it was harder than I thought. I learned a lot that directors seem to dictate the seasons, and I just thought, wow, they're not taking a chance on me because I'm unknown and I'm unpublished. I still am, by the way, 10 years later. But I had one playhouse in Klamath Falls. And forever I thank him in all my programs as well. Jason Eisenbeis worked at the Linkville Players in Klamath Falls. Said, I'll read your script, read it, loved it. And I remember, I'll never forget it, it was St. Patrick's Day, 2009. I got the email saying I had to do a lot of wrangling, and I think he said something like horse stealing or something. But I got your play in our season. It opens, it's our second show of the year. It opens in November. And I was like,
and you're like, oh my God.
What? And I got paid $99.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was the best money ever.
$99
It was the best
you've ever made in your
$99.
life. Yep.
And I remember thinking, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe it. And we all went. My mother-in-law flew out from Colorado. We all piled in a rented Suburban and headed down to Klamath Falls. And
That's
that
awesome.
Play sold more tickets than any other play that season.
That's great.
And
That's
I was up
incredible.
against Neil Simon, Plaza.
Right.
I was Forever Plaid, Labette. It did very well. So I got lucky. And Marilyn Toma came out to support me, as she always has, saw the play and said, this should be at 2nd Street. And I said, I know, but
You're like, yeah, it
it's
should
for
be.
sale. But you know what? It kind of worked out great because Harvey wrapped up and her playhouse was for sale, but it was also empty. And
Right.
she said, well, maybe you can produce it yourself. And I was like, what?
Right.
What does that even mean? And we literally met for lunch at the Black Bear Diner. And I said, what does that entail? What does that mean? And basically, as a producer, it means you put up all the money and all the risk, but you get all the reward.
Okay.
And I was like, I so believed in couple dating and my reputation in this town. I thought, I can bully a lot of people into these seats. I think I can get people here. And I'm a hustler, always have been. I thought if anyone can get people to back me up money-wise, it's me. And I said, okay, Marilyn, I think I'm gonna do it. And so her playhouse was empty, it was for sale, and I came in and I opened March of 2010, I think it was, with the best director in town, Susan Benson, God rest her soul. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was doing really well, ticket sales, but it wasn't until the Source Weekly, their reviewer came out on opening night and apparently was so offended that she wouldn't write a review. And so come Thursday, we're rushing to go get the Source to see the review because we knew she was here, and it wasn't there. And Marilyn called the Source, and at the time it was a gentleman by the name, a young kid actually, named Mike Bookie, and said, Mike, where's the review of Cricket's play Couple Dating? And he says, well, Marilyn, did you even know what you were renting your theater to? Did you even know what this play was about? And she's like, yeah, I saw it in Klamath Falls. It's hysterical.
Yeah.
It's like, well, our reviewer was so offended that the review would have been bad, and I figured you'd rather have no review than a bad review.
You're like, no way. Put the bad review in there.
Well, that was it. Exactly, Charlie. I was like, okay. At that point, I'm full-on producer. I'm like, alert the presses.
Right.
Come see the play that the Source Weekly deemed too offensive to review.
Too offensive to even publish a review.
That's
on,
right.
Like,
and I'm
as
not
if it would
kidding
burst
you.
into flame
Yes.
when it came out
and
of the
tickets
print.
started flying off the shelves. We sold out the entire run. And Bob Woodward, who was he's an amazing man who's lived in Bend. He's actually the former Bend mayor and also a writer. He had a blog or something through the Source, and he advocated for me. And it just completely blew up. The online, I didn't write a play to be controversial.
Right.
And I have a pretty tough skin, and of course I read all the comments, and I'm a homophobic, I'm a bigot, I'm a racist. I basically wrote Archie Bunker. I wrote All in the Family in today's time, is what couple dating is about.
Okay.
Bobby has Tess brings over an arrogant prick Jew,
Okay.
His words, not mine.
Okay.
But I'm true to my character. Then she brings over a lesbian, or as he says, dyke, and many other harsh things. His words, not mine. And then she brings over a guy that he really likes, who outfits all the refs for the New York Knicks and offers them up season tickets and on the floor.
Right.
Loves this guy. They're swingers. They don't know it till they walk into the living room with dessert, and they're naked all over their living room. So Tess brings home 3 lemons.
I can just imagine what that scene looked like on the stage. It's
the
just
laughter,
hilarious.
you couldn't even hear the dialogue. It was amazing.
Right.
So Bobby, of course, who's never left his block in Brooklyn, is Archie Bunker.
Right.
Not me.
Right.
Oh
and
my
to
gosh.
be fair, not your real husband. Not
No,
in
not
any
at
way
all. At
like
that
your
point, I'm
real
like, okay, I
husband.
got to make this clear. No, that's not my husband.
Yeah, because your
No.
husband is just the nicest guy in the world.
Like, so nice, it's annoying. Like, what is he doing with me? You know? So, yeah, very nice. And we're just not those people. But I stay, when you write, you're writing characters, and you need to stay true to those characters.
And you write in the voice of the character.
So that play kind of launched. I've had a play on this stage every year since.
Wow.
Second Street Theater ended up staying open.
Right.
Because I was, I lit the idea in Maryland, well, there's got to be more crickets out there. There's got to be more people who are willing to come in and rent this space to put on plays. And sure enough, Susan Benson, my director, came in and put on Rainmaker. Todd Hansen, Amber Hansen with the Red Hands Productions put on Bug, a brilliant production of Bug. So independent producers were coming in and producing works, not original works like I was, but it kept the theater going.
It set a precedent for a model
that
that could
did,
work.
yeah. And so I'm kind of proud of that I was able to kind of spark that interest, because it wasn't happening in Bend. I certainly wasn't the first playwright in Bend. There were Leonard Gross, who has since passed on. He was a writer in town. Bob Woodward was a writer in town. But none of them had really self-produced their works on stage, fully produced. You know, it wasn't just some rinky-dink stage reading.
And so, in the middle of all this, like, how old was your daughter at this point? She was only a couple of years old?
She was born in 2004, so she was about 4 or 5.
Okay.
So I was one busy producer.
Right.
And my husband had to pick up a lot of slack, and he's still picking up that slack. I mean, bless his heart.
Like, it hasn't stopped.
Well, you know, we work really well together. We've been married 24 years. And so I pick up his slack, he picks up my slack, and he's hoping to God something comes my way.
And back when you were putting this first play into action here in Bend, it sounds like he was like, yeah, go for it. Like, he was incredibly supportive of the whole
my gosh,
process.
so much so. It's funny because we kind of have an old-fashioned marriage. Like, I'm home cooking dinner every night, and I do the laundry, and I do the grocery shopping, and he brings home the bacon, and I fry it up in that pan, and it's almost like my parents, you know, it really is. But we're not, if I go away for a week, he's not dying, and if he goes away for a week, I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'm like, I'm gonna have my friends over, drink wine, and watch movies and have fun, or whatever. I mean, we're fine, you know.
But it sounds like mixed in with the traditional stuff was also, you know, you knew right away that you wanted to do something outside of just being a mom, and he was all for that. He's like, yeah, go for it.
I mean, in between all of this, I didn't even touch on it, but before our daughter Spencer was even born, I felt that need, like, oh gosh, what have I done? I left what I thought was going to be a career in Santa Barbara / LA area, and I moved to Bend, Oregon, and he literally drove me to the border of California in a Jeep Wrangler with 500 headshots and said, if you got to get this out of your system, go now. And I moved to LA for 5 months.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
After you were married.
Yep. We were married 9 years.
And you moved to Bend.
I did.
And then you went
for
back
pilot
to
season.
LA for like 5 months.
Yep. I thought, I'm going to show up and they're going to say, oh my gosh, thank goodness, where have you been? And then I showed them, they're like, who the hell are you? We're not interested. And I came back to Bend with my tail between my legs, and I got it out of my system.
But to me, the awesome part of that is the confidence that you guys had in your relationship.
Oh, totally.
Or the like freedom, or the whatever you want to describe it as in your relationship.
Yeah.
Of, like, if this is what you need to do,
you need to before we start having a family.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
my
huge.
husband's
that's
amazing.
Incredible.
Or he's just too damn busy to notice I was gone. It's one or the other. I'd never leave him that long again.
Right.
You know, it really made me realize, wow. I mean, everybody else was like, what is going on there? Are they separated?
Right.
Never, not even close. We've never even said the D word, really. We're pretty solid. We like each other, you know? And
That's
he just
huge.
says, Mama, well, actually, he wasn't calling me Mama then. You got to go do this, go do it. Get it out of your system. He understood it because he rides dirt bikes and he missed that chance. He was never going to line up with Jeremy McGrath, and he just had to accept that. You know what I mean?
Right.
He was talented enough to, and he thought, and so he didn't want to see me miss out on that. And he probably knew I'd be back in 5 months.
But that's incredible. That
It is. He's
I
amazing.
think it's an awesome.
He's amazing.
An awesome indication of the type of relationship.
Yeah.
So.
You know, and I'd come home once in a while.
Sure. Yeah.
But I just, and that's why he even says, you mentioned, and we'll get on that later, I'm sure. Thank you.
Sorry.
Have this gorgeous mug.
Right.
You'd mentioned me writing, and I've always had a dream of being a staff writer on a sitcom.
Right.
And I think my style of playwriting, if you've not had the opportunity or the pleasure of seeing my plays, but it's very much like a sitcom. A lot of people would say it's like a sitcom, it needs a laugh track. But I've thought about if it were to come my way to be a staff writer, my husband has always said, you go. We'll figure it out, just go. You know, you would have to do that. But
Wow.
I'm at that point 24 years later. My daughter's 15. She's almost in college. And now I have dreams of me riding on the road and being a snowbird, just becoming an old person that rides a golf cart. I just love that idea. But I'm certainly...
I don't know that I can see you in that role, Cricket, of like...
really?
Like with your energy level and like how
I'd be
dynamic you
running
are.
the joint. Yeah, my golf cart, yeah.
Yeah, in your golf cart.
My golf cart, my
Yeah.
razor. I'll step it up and say razor. How about that?
Okay, yeah, there
Okay.
you go. Sure.
But no, I'm very lucky that I have the support system of my husband and my daughter. Because it is because of them that I stumbled upon playwriting, isn't it? I became a stay-at-home mom.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. And so that basically started an addiction for you. In 2009,
Somewhat.
2010,
Yeah.
you wrote your first play.
And produced it, and that was
And
really
produced your first play,
that was an
and-
addiction for me, the producing part.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoyed it. I was good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that
And
started
then
it.
That started you on
Every
this
year,
whole
I
path.
bless Marilyn and Sandy's heart here at Second Street Theater, allowing me to use this venue as my sandbox. I would come in every year as an independent producer and put on an original play, do very well. I had a bit of a following. Audiences came to learn that if you went to one of my plays, odds are you're going to see something funny
Yeah.
and fun, and you know, some are very good and some are you know, but they're all pretty quality for the plays that I see out there anyway. I think I'm on par. And so I was making money, they were making money, and everybody was happy. And it opened doors to other playwrights. We have a lot of talent in this town, as you know, a lot of
Yeah.
writers.
Yeah.
And so next thing you know, Second Street Theater became like the place for original works. That's awesome. And even
Yeah.
CTC is now on that bandwagon for sure. And then fast forward to me producing my annual 24/7 theater project, where I give writers, directors, and actors an opportunity to shine for, you know, one day.
Right.
Yeah, writers have.
Yeah, can you, I mean, I know a little bit about the 24/7 theater project, but how did that come about, and when? That's only been a couple of years, is that right?
This will be
Or-
our fourth year.
Your fourth year.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I was invited as a playwright at a theater in Colorado Springs called the Funky Little Theater.
It's a great
and
name, by the way.
Yeah, they did couple dating. And they do a 24/7 project out there. And Chris Medina asked if I would participate, and I said, "Well, you'd love to. What's that even
You're like,
mean?"
what does that
And
mean?
You get 4 prompts on a Friday night, and you get a 10-minute play to me by 4:30 the next morning. I was like, okay, challenge on, bring it.
Okay.
And I did that for him twice. And it was by far the coolest thing I'd ever done as a playwright. And so I came to Second Street Theater and I said, I think I'd like to produce this as an annual thing here. I really think it would do well here. I think we got the level of talent to garner
Yeah,
it here.
sure.
And I say we do it. And so the first year we did it, oh man, it was, honestly, Charlie, I don't think we could have held auditions and cast it as good as it happened. Because casting is literally out of a brown paper bag.
Oh, really?
Yes. casting
it's not about you knowing the right actors or whatever. It's literally you literally are pulling
in
names
a
out of the bag.
nutshell. I invite 7 writers. I'm not one of them. I'm happy producing it into this theater or a theater 7 o'clock on a Friday night, and based on an online Facebook 24/7 Theater Project poll, I get 4 prompts. I ask for them, and every day I get suggestions. I write them down. I throw them in a paper bag. One is a prop, one is a line of dialogue, one is a pop culture reference, and one is a character name. Each playwright will get the same 4 prompts.
Okay.
Then they pull out of a bag their cast makeup. This is to ensure that they don't come in with a play already written.
Right, like sandbagging it.
That's right.
Like they've got it all
That's
dialed
correct.
in. And they're like, no, I'm creating it right now.
That's right. So they don't know if they're writing for 2 men, 4 women, 2 men, 2 women. So they pull out their cast makeup. So now they have their 4 prompts and their cast makeup. They got to get to me a 10-minute play by 4 a.m. And they're sweating it. They're off writing all night long. Sometimes I get them at 10 after 4. I mean, so I've had them come in late.
Right.
I've had them come in early.
Staggering in, like, here it is.
They just have to email it to me.
Okay.
I'm up printing them out at 4 a.m. At 6 a.m., 7 of our best directors in town show up. They literally pull out of a name out of a bag of the play they're going to be directing. They go and they take about 45 minutes to read it and to find out what kind of cast makeup they need, whether it's an older woman, younger woman, older man, younger man. I literally have 4 brown bags that say older actress, older actor, younger actor. And I've got the best actors in town, very well-known actors in town. I don't take newbies because it's a challenge. Even the newest, even the seasoned actor I've had throwing up backstage. So they literally say, I do it in a lottery, whoever goes up first, and they go up to the older actor and they'll pull it out and say, I got Charlie Teal, I'm stoked. You know, and they say who they got.
I should be in the younger actor category.
You're right, there's always that one, those actors where they argue, this isn't older. I'm like, what do you do with a 47-year-old, you know? It's like they're, ugh.
The beard, I guess, pushes me over.
Exactly. And there's no tradesies.
Okay.
So they have to make work what they get. That's right. And so usually they're pretty happy. Actors show up at 8 a.m. And to tell you how popular this project is, try getting 24 actors to show up to a theater on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m.
At 8 a.m.
They do. Never once have I had a no-show. Wow. Never once. They are on fire, ready to go for this. So they show up, they sit in the stands, and each director takes the stage and says a little bit what their play is about, who it's written by, and then they announce their cast. And after all the plays have been cast and announced, they all skirmish off to their corners and sit down for their first table read. In the meantime, the directors have written down what they need from me. We've had where we've needed a machete in the head before. Like literally, an actress comes out with a machete in the head. We've needed 4 dunce hats with the spinsters.
On there. Yep.
We've needed gurney. We've needed the ping pong table. We've needed a Canadian hockey jersey. I mean, it's and that's what I'm doing all day long. Is I'm looking for those items. It's amazing.
And so the all the actors show up at 8 a.m.
Yep.
They get drawn. They get told where they're going to be.
Yep.
How long do they have to?
We open 7:30 that night, baby, for a full house. Off book, lights, sound. They have about 25 minutes of tech rehearsal during the day only.
That's
awesome.
It. I mean, it's hilariously stressful.
It's
like in the best way
ridiculously
possible.
stressful. And people show up and they listen for the 4 prompts. In years past, we've always picked a fan favorite, and every year it upsets me. Because there's 6 playwrights that aren't thinking their play was deserving. And I don't think I'm going to do that this year. I think this is the first year I'm not going to do it. I just don't, I want them just to have fun.
Well, it feels like, I mean, everything you've described to me, it's yes, you're in separate productions, but you're all in the same boat
It's
together.
so collaborative and so fun.
And if you then pick like one winner, then that sort of breaks a
little bit. They look forward to hearing if it's their play, but I've always felt bad. You know, because part of it's a popularity contest, isn't it? The playwright that had the most family members come.
Sure, yeah.
Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not always fair. Everyone gets a ticket when they come in, and I tell them, please pick the play that was produced the best, written the best, directed the best, cast the best, the one that just grabbed your attention.
Right.
Not because your kid's in it, not because your neighbor wrote it.
Right.
Please, it's anonymous. You know, do the right thing. And whoever used those 4 prompts the most clever. There's nothing worse when the prompt is a banana and they use it as a banana.
And you're like, wah, wah,
be a little
like,
more
like,
original.
come on now.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess in the heat of the moment, you have almost no time. Fair enough that you do the best you can.
I do try to tell the playwrights, try to be a little more original.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, when the line of dialogue is, we've had some crazy line of dialogues before, but this one was about shooting somebody dead or something like that. And I can't remember what playwright it was, but they just used it so cleverly. I had to announce to the audience, like, okay, who didn't think that was the most coolest thing ever?
Best use of the line.
Best use of the line. It wasn't on the nose, but yet it made sense,
right.
You know? And so it's a fun project. I love doing it for Bend. Mm-hmm. I love producing it. I lose 5 pounds every year when I do. So there's a silver lining right there.
Right.
And this year it will be at Cascade Theatrical Company.
Okay.
And so August 10th, I will be doing that again. And awesome. Just gathering up my writers. There's so many. Yeah. I actually feel bad that I can't have more than 7. I feel bad that I have to turn away actors.
Right.
You know? It breaks my heart. That's the hardest part about being a producer is you have to wear that black cowboy hat a lot.
Right.
You know? So, because I've produced all my shows here.
Okay.
I'm not just the playwright. Once I'm done playwriting and I hand it off to my director, I'm officially the producer, which makes me kind of the bad guy and the good guy. Because I buy the stuff. I'm the money person. I throw money at problems all day, every day. That's my definition of a producer.
Right.
But then I'm kind of the bad guy that has to say, look, we got to get this effer on track.
Right.
You know, or I'm not liking where it's going, or you know, I have to put out the fires, and that's no fun. But
so how does, I know your daughter, you said your daughter has worked crew and she's done some acting and stuff. Has she ever been a part of the 24/7 project?
No, she hasn't. She's
Probably
been a little
would be
too young.
Too stressful.
It might be. I mean, I think she would love it. She's getting older. She's 15.
Yeah.
So up until before, that's a lot of responsibility, and it's all day long. And I just didn't want the whole thing to come crashing down because my kid effed up.
Yeah, right. Well, and then, like you don't want her to have that kind of negative theater experience.
Yeah,
where she's like, I'm never doing this again.
It's very rarely negative. I've only had a couple of negative things come out of 24/7, and they're all learning tools for me.
Right.
But for the most part, it's a very positive, collaborative day. I suppose I will have to pull her in at some point, though, yeah. Because I could use her help. She's a really good crew person. She worked the Lost Virginity Tour. She's worked over at CTC. She really enjoys it. She would be good at it. But it would be all day. And she's one of those, how much money am I going to make? Nothing. Nobody makes nothing. Because I can't pay everybody for 24/7. I can feed them. I just can't pay them. But they're happy to do it because it's one day out of their life.
Right.
You know, it's a long day.
It's a crazy day.
It's a crazy day. Yeah.
So I mean, 10 years. You've been now hitting away at this for 10 years.
I have. I'm ready.
Got 7 full-length plays. And
that's because I'm lazy.
I
actually should have 20. Right. I mean, I write really fast, and I'm a lazy writer, so I really have no excuse why I don't have more than 7.
Right.
I've got 20 in my head. I'm working on 3 now. And when I say working, I'm like, I've got them outlined and I've started them, but I get to it when I can. But I'm a lazy writer. But yeah, I do have 7 full-length plays. All of them have been in Bend. All of them have been produced, except for maybe 1 elsewhere outside of Bend.
Okay.
You know, so slowly, but I'm not published. I mean, I'm not managed. I'm a one-woman show.
Right.
It's if anyone's finding out these plays, it's because I'm peddling them all the time. I do 2 mass emailings a year to theaters across the country.
Okay, I was going to ask how you get the word out about your
plays. I go to a lot of I hit every state's was AACT, American Association of Community Theater.
Okay.
And if they're linked up with that in California, I'll just go across. I'll literally take out a map of the United States and check it off as I go. And I'll visit their website and see if they're doing plays like mine. Sometimes they're all children's theaters, or sometimes they're all musicals. And so I'll do my due diligence. Sometimes I'll slip up. But for the most part, I find theaters that are doing, comedies, sometimes they'll say we like original work. I can get an idea from the mission statement if they're open to it. And I send out a blanket email that says, hey, my name is Cricket Daniel. I'm a produced playwright who resides in Bend, Oregon. I saw your website. I'm very interested in your theater. I think my plays might be, fit well in your season. If you would like to consider any of mine for your upcoming season, I would love it. Below are the synopsis of all my plays. Visit my website. It's just pretty to the point. And I'll probably send out hundreds of emails. I might get 50 responses, 25 saying, good luck to you, but we're not interested.
Right.
20 that says, let me run it by the artistic director, they sound interesting. Of that 20, I might get 12 that says, could you send us these two? Of those 12, 5 will drop off the face of the earth. They won't even answer my email that they read them or anything, because I like to follow up. I might get 4 that says we're putting it in front of the board, we liked it, and of those 4, I'm lucky to get 2. It's exhausting.
The Lost Virginity tour, you've got 6
that
so,
particular one.
Sounds like that has clicked.
That one's clicking. And I think it's for a variety of reasons. I think it's because it's a cast that consists of 4 women over the age of 60. They are all leading roles. And when I say leading roles, I'm not kidding, Charlie. They are monsters. I mean, it's almost unfair to have an actress of that age have to learn that much dialogue.
But I'm sure they are hungry for those.
They are so hungry for these roles. Nobody's writing for this age range or these actresses. Nobody. I don't think so. And usually those actresses are going for one role in one play that consists of grandma coming downstairs, stop shouting, where's my, insure, and then they go back upstairs.
Right, and that's it.
That's it. These women are literally on stage the entire time.
And so they are.
I love dialogue. I love words.
Incredibly excited about.
Very excited. It talks about these women, these 4 women, all have retired from different parts of the country to Surprise, Arizona, in a place called Happy Trails. And it's a real place.
Okay.
And I had that filed away for a while. I'd been thinking about writing a play centered in Happy Trails, but I wanted it to be about 4 seasons. Do you remember that movie, 4 Seasons, with Alan Alda?
Oh, yes.
I loved it.
Yes.
I loved seeing those couples vacationing together all those seasons. And I thought, oh gosh, I think there's something there. I was a big fan of the movie. I love Alan Alda's writing. And I thought, okay, Happy Trails, I might set it there. But then I was given, through friends, the idea of the Lost Virginity tour, because we started talking about our virginities. And I'm like, oh gosh, I wonder if I can do something with Happy Trails. And so I have these 4 women who all retired to Surprise, Arizona. And they're in a baking club. I thought, what can 4 women get together for weekly? That's not cliche like a book club.
Okay.
And I'm racking my brain. That's the fun part though. I just sit there and I stew. And I don't bake at all, but I came up with baking club. And so they get together and they swap recipes every week.
Okay.
And they start swapping the story of when they lost their virginity. They stumble onto this topic. And Viola, the ringleader, says,
That's a great name, by the way.
Thank you.
Very Shakespearean.
I actually stole it. It's my girlfriend Kathy Valenti's mother-in-law's name, Viola McGee. And she gets on the topic of virginity, and she says, oh my gosh, I got the best idea. We got to take a road trip. We're going to visit every place where we lost our virginities and share our stories. And that's what they do. They hop in the car, and they go to Hatteras Island, North Carolina. They go to Ball State University, Indiana. They go to Viola's grandma's bedroom in New Jersey. She lost hers at a family reunion. And they end up at a Colorado cabin. And they each share their stories. And each story is very different and unique. Some are funny, some are heartbreaking, and some are sad. Right. And I just had that, it's hooking. It's hooking. Yeah. And so this is the first one where people started contacting me. Heard about your play.
And you're like, really?
How'd you hear about it?
The play?
Saw it on a website looking for plays that have women over 60 or whatever. And then I have it going to Fort Lauderdale. It happened to be, thank goodness, LA Times Pick of the Week. And that helped.
Wow.
It got like a picture in the LA Times, talked about my background in stand-up, gave it a semi-review. And that that was the first time where I'm like, oh, heck, that's right. People across the United States read the LA Times, not just Los Angeles, because I was literally in Hollywood for that production when I got an email from Florida saying we saw it in the paper.
And yeah, I'm sure your eyebrows went up and you're just like,
it's happening.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, I think it's happening. That's what I thought. Like, I started tearing up. And I got that LA production because I queried them. They were one of my blanket queries. And slowly, people started contacting me. Now, one place who did it, Santa Clara, they did another play of mine, Helen on Wheels, and it did well. They were happy working with me. So Helen on Wheels was there the season before. And so when they heard about this one, they said, we'll do it. And I'm like, okay, great. You know.
That's fantastic.
So, yeah,
That's
so slowly this one's taking off. Santa Barbara's my hometown. And so when I was there last, I contacted Drama Dogs and said, can I take you out to breakfast? I want to meet with you. I've got to play. I'm from Santa Barbara. I want to work with you. And so they bit. And that's what's going on now.
Wow.
So it's me marketing, it's me peddling, and then it's getting the break of the LA Times that helped. And so they're finally, I'm getting emails. Me.
And it really sounds like from the get-go, like even when, you know, when you were newly married, or not newly married, but when you had your daughter, like even then you knew that you were going to find your way somehow back to theater or were you scared? I mean, were you scared that you're like, oh my God, what if that part of my life is done?
I wouldn't say I was scared. But my mom used to always say, you're not going to be happy until you're happy with what you've got. I always felt like there was more, like something was missing.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
know
thought,
what you mean.
I love my life. I'm so blessed beyond measure. I honestly, I'm so lucky. And yet, it's not enough. Right. Something's missing. I was meant to work in that industry. Right. I just know it. It haunts me. It just, and it wasn't so much I was scared, it was just like time is a ticking. And I'm constantly, oh my gosh, I've been second round of auditions for Big Brother. Oh my gosh, $100,000 Pyramid. I thought I was off to New York last summer to be on that. I'm always, Charlie, I am a nuisance. I mean, honestly, if you have not heard of Cricket Daniel, then I'm not doing my job. I am brand ambassador 101, Cricket Daniel. I'm constantly trying to angle my way in to that industry somehow. It's so silly, really.
But it seems that you found an amazing amount of fulfillment.
Yes. I have to say, right now I'm at the point where if I'm never on camera, if I'm never on stage again, and if I can truly make a living at playwriting, I think that's the lottery. I really, really do. I just can't think of anything better. I honestly cannot think of anything better. If I can be, and I don't think I'm a Pulitzer Prize writer, I don't even think I'm a Tony Award winning writer. I think if I can get my plays at community theaters across the country every month, you know what I mean? They're just and that green envelope in my mailbox every month. I will be the happiest little Cricket Daniel you've ever met. I may or may not still audition for Survivor, love it, or The Amazing Race, but I would be pretty content at that point. But right now, I always feel like I'm chasing that dream. Right. Chasing it, and until I get it, I don't think I'm going to stop. I don't think I'm going to stop.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I guess, or it's very sad and pathetic.
I guess it depends on your attitude towards it, right? I guess so. Like you're able to both relish the life you have. Yeah. And be incredibly thankful for the life you have, while also pursuing the bigger dream. Yeah. You know, I think the negative would be if you were dissatisfied with the life you had simply because this one thing worked. Yeah, no, not the case. Just hungry for more. Yeah. And a lot of it is, for me, like if they were to give me a staff writing position on a sitcom, I would, Charlie, I'm not kidding you, I'd do it for free. When I hear these writers haggling for this money or something, I'm like, really? There was 5 years ago you were nobody saying you'd do it for free. And I don't think I would ever veer away from that. I would do it for free. I honestly, the only reason why I want to make a living at it, and a good one, is to
my husband we've been married 24 years. I've been literally home with my daughter for 15, like making no money, by the way. I mean, I make money from my plays, but we call it play money, literally play money. And
With the dual meaning
that's
there,
right.
like
but my
play.
dream is literally to turn to him and say, I'll take it from here. I would love to give my husband the gift of time.
Yeah.
To give him the gift of freedom, to not be to the salt mines every day. You know, I mean, he's the best mechanic in town, and his clientele would be very upset, but the first thing I do when I make it is get him out of that shop. I want him home. I want him to be able to restore that damn Mustang we've had on the side of our house for 14 years.
Right.
I want him to restore that CJ5 we've had in our garage for 20 years. I want him to have fun. You know?
That's incredible.
And he'd tell you he's blessed beyond measure too. He is. Because look at me. Come on now. I'm kidding. People, calm down. Stop the letters. They're coming, Charlie. They're like, who does she think she is?
That's right.
It's the stand-up in me.
Snarky playwright.
I know.
I think you're forgiven.
But
you can be forgiven for just
the
about
first
anything.
check I write is that shop gone. I want him. I want us to. Time's a ticking. I keep saying it. I'm not kidding. I want us to travel. I want me to be able to write from. Like I said, I want to be a snowbird. I'm ready to say, I'll take it from here, honey. It's the least I can do, right?
Well, I mean, it certainly sounds like you have put in your time and done your part to like make the family work.
No doubt.
And, you know.
No, it's even Steven. If I were to get paid a salary for everything I've done, it would be I'm no schlep.
Right.
But
But when it comes to actually like paying the bills, it'd be.
Well, the good news is what I'm good at and what I do, it actually pays very well. But the percentage of people getting paid very well to do it is pretty small.
Pretty small.
I have confidence that my day is coming, and I do think the Lost Virginity tour, I'm definitely on a momentum. There's no doubt about that.
That's great.
This play is global, it's commercial, it could be a movie, it could technically be a musical, although I wouldn't know how to write one. But there's something there. And it just takes that one when they say, what else do you got? And I'm like, it was funny you should ask. I've got all of these that I would love for you to, it just takes that one. And I do think this is the one, but I'll keep writing, regardless. I'm not gonna have, if this happens to be the one, if this is the one that launches my career and it starts bringing in money and a little bit of prestige, I'm not gonna stop. I don't have that in me. That's not the end goal either. For me, it's just to be able to have that validation and to be able to give Jason the gift of freedom and to be able to leave that legacy for my daughter. Can you imagine? I mean, she's the next in line, right? God forbid, well, when I die, hopefully it's a long time from now, those plays are hers. I would love it if she were to be able to have that money coming in all the time because of something I wrote 30 years earlier or whatever. Can you imagine? Yeah, that's wild sounding to me. When I don't get paid a lot of money. I get $75 a performance. Just so you know, dear writers out there, that's what I'm making. Oh yeah.
Like making it rain.
Oh, I'm making it pour. Oh man, it's raining in here. I get $75 a performance. But you know what, Charlie? So does I looked it up. So does Neil Simon.
Right.
You pay $75 a performance, a show, and I get this check, and I'm like, that's the easiest money I've ever. All I did was email it to them.
Right.
I wrote it a long time ago. Now, there are theaters that don't want to pay me. And I think, but I only wrote the damn thing. But in their head, I kind of get it. It doesn't look like I did a lot of work either.
Right.
But I did. I did do the work.
Yeah.
So I deserve that $75 a performance. But when those checks come in, I can't even imagine eventually them coming in where it's a lot more than that. Because I'm pretty stoked when I get it. I'm like, that goes into the little play account.
Right.
That'll pay for the next little airfare somewhere fun. And, So right now it's just kind of used for fun. But I'm hopeful.
But it sounds like for you it has always been about like the validation or the something. It's not about the money. It's about something personal to you, and it's about something that basically you're pursuing this thing that you really believe in, and you've always wanted
I'm meant to
be
do
a
it.
part of.
I'm meant to do it.
Right.
There was never. My training is, my parents have always said, have a plan B. I'm like, but if I have a plan B, I'll fall back on it for sure. Without a plan B, I'm like plan A all the way. But in the meantime, I'm taking my business classes and I type like a demon, which helps me. I've always made my living as an administrative assistant. Okay. So, I was able to work. Obviously, I was working until I became a stay-at-home mom. But the whole time, I just knew there was more. There was more to my story. There was more to my journey. There was more to me. There just is.
Was there a point, maybe when your daughter was really young, was there a point where you were just like, I don't think this is, where you were afraid it wasn't going to happen, or that you were, to me, that's a big thing. Was there a point where you had to sort of rediscover that passion, or were you always knew?
It was always on pause. It was never away.
I like that phrase.
No,
it was always on pause.
It was always on pause for the time being. It wasn't that you
lost it.
Like my husband said, give it a year, let it get a little bit older, let me get established at the shop, you'll be back on stage. I thought it was back on stage. It wasn't until I saw Garden Politics and Michael Slade here that it ignited the playwriting. I thought, oh, well, and in the meantime, and that was another thing I didn't talk about, because like I said, I've tried so many different avenues. I was writing spec scripts. I wrote a spec for Seinfeld. I wrote a spec for Friends. I wrote a spec for Will and Grace. I was writing spec scripts and submitting them to agents, not getting any action, wanting to be a staff writer. And so I was writing, but playwriting, I thought, well, that's a pretty quick way I can see my work quicker. And maybe I can make my way into sitcom writing that angle. I can't get in because I'm not in LA. I can't do the networking. I can't be there for meetings. So maybe I'll become a playwright, and maybe somebody will hear about my plays and think, you should be writing for television. I kind of started playwriting for selfish reasons. I thought it might get me to television.
Right.
And in any review, even when the source did finally end up coming back to review couple dating, because they couldn't ignore it anymore.
Did you have to watch through her fingers the whole time?
Well, he was clearly not a fan of my writing. He gave me some props for putting it on, though. As an independent producer, first-time writer, he gave that to me. But what I love, and he meant it as an insult, and I was like, wow, that's like the best compliment anyone's ever given me. He compared me to Chuck Lorre. And I was like, done and done. Who's going to read this and hire me? Come on, right? And so...
You're like, I'll take it.
Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. So I kind of stumbled onto playwriting for selfish reasons, thinking not so much plays, but maybe that might get me into sitcoms, because I was writing specs at the time. Yeah. I was always up to something. I was always up to something. My family was like, what are you doing now? I'm like, I'm applying for Survivor. I'm applying for Amazing Race. Because Elizabeth Hasselbeck is now on The View based on Survivor. See how that transitioned? Or I was like, and I thought I would be great on a panel like that, And so I was constantly applying for things like that. I thought if I could be on a talk show, I think I would add flavor to that table. But I don't have an agent. I have no experience. And so I was up to something all the time. And my husband would say, Mama, you're going to throw so much shit at the wall. Eventually, something's going to stick.
But that's great that, as you went through those years of being a stay-at-home mom and everything, you were like, it was always there. It was always there.
Always.
You found an outlet.
Yeah.
And maybe it wasn't exactly the direction you thought you were going to go, but you're like, well, it could still lead.
Yep.
Still lead you where you want.
I actually have video with Spencer as a baby. I don't remember who was filming me, because I was auditioning for something. I think it was to be a guest co-host for Regis when he was looking. And he was looking for moms or looking for regular girls.
Okay.
And I submitted that. I have pictures of me. I tried to audition to be one of those little Jeopardy people. When you go to the video,
yes. Okay.
I auditioned for that. I sent in an audition video. I still do that. Jason will be stressed at work, like, I didn't make any money today. I'm like, I'm seeing what game shows are casting me. I'm going on a game show. I'll win it all. I'm always hustling. It's in my blood. I hustled my whole life. I would hang out at the car wash as a kid and say, do you have a quarter so I can call my mom so she can come pick me up? Because I knew they would at a car wash. And I would go over to K&L Drive-In and play Pac-Man the rest of the afternoon. I always hustled.
Okay.
Always. I never got backstage passes, yet I was always backstage. I never had pit passes. I was always in the pits. I love the hustle. I love the game of it. I love the energy I get. I think that's why I like producing. I love seeing how many butts I can get in this seat and how many shows I can extend, or how many. I like the challenge of it all. And so that energy bodes well for me for what I want to do. But I'm at a slight disadvantage in Bend, Oregon as a stay-at-home mom. I can't network. I can't be in LA at the socials, or I can't be in New York City at the conferences or whatever. I try to get out there. I do the best I can being here. But I want it so badly that it's semi-obsession. It doesn't take away from my family. They're not starving. Well, maybe. My daughter's out in the car with the windows cracked. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Stop the letters. You're writing letters again, Charlie. You're going to get them, not me. I don't care.
Oh, I figure you said she's 15 now. 15. She can let herself out if
she's probably smoking crack behind Baskin Robbins.
But have
you? Calm
do you
down.
think you
My mother-in-law's watching.
Passed on that hustle, that drive to your daughter? Like, is she kind of still figuring out? I mean, 15. She's an incredible artist. She wants to be an animation storyboarder.
That might change, but she's very talented. We always say Jason is the more calm, pessimist, realist, bread and butter, kind of salt of the earth kind of guy, and I'm the dreamer. And so we always say Spencer has just enough of him in her to keep her out of jail, which I've been to. That's another story.
Right.
But my whole family is very street smart. We hustle. And his family's by the book, play by the rules. And she's clever. But I'll test her once in a while. I'm like, I can probably sneak in. Line's pretty long. Who cares? Who's going to know? Mom? And I'm like, okay. You're more Daniel than Gregorowitz, but okay, it's probably better for you in the future.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I snuck into everything as a kid.
Yeah.
So we're different that way. But she's a good blend of the two of us, thank God. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? If she was all me?
Then you would just be like, what have I done?
What have I done?
Why did I create another one of me?
I mean, do I get a bail bondsman now?
Right,
Do I put money away for rehab? What do I do here?
Right.
Yeah, no. Yeah. She's a good kid. So she does have the artistic ability, though, yeah.
Yeah. It's got to be exciting for you to see that, that spark growing.
Yeah, because I didn't see it coming.
Right.
And I remember her in kindergarten. They were supposed to get up on stage for the moms for kindergarten Mother's Day and put on this little play. And the whole time she went like that. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to kill her. She's like this the whole time. What are you doing?
Perform,
God,
child.
I'm going to have to beat you in front of all these nice people. I can't believe it. And so I did not see it coming. It didn't. It came out of nowhere. Yeah. And it fell in her lap, actually. I think they needed an 8-year-old for a straight play at this stage. You think Spencer would want to do it? No, I don't. You sure? I'm like, yeah, I'm positive. Well, let me meet her. And she got the role. I was like, what?
You're like,
I'm like,
what?
Great. Now she's going to ruin the whole entire play. And she shined. I couldn't believe it. And she started doing plays after that.
That's
it's
great.
fun. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm kind of sad she's not into it anymore, but she's into her animation. She's a Bend High cheerleader. She's a good girl. She gets good grades, But then she took wood shop this year. Cool. And that was kind of cool. And then she signed up for small gas engines next year.
That's awesome.
Isn't that awesome? So she's a cheerleader by day, and we got her on motorcycles and snowmobiles on the weekends. So yeah, she's a cool kid.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So as we kind of begin to wrap up, there are a couple of questions that I always get sucked into asking people because they're things that I'm always curious about. Are there any books, or sounds like you're much more on the movie side of things, but are there any books that you like to recommend to people, or books or podcasts or shows or anything that resonated with you or helped you find your way, or I don't know, sources, people, anything, inspiration?
God, not really. I mean, nothing. I kind of winged it, to tell you the truth. I'm untrained. I have an innate ability to hit the arc and to know the beats. I've read a couple of books, nothing I could recommend. It was more like, I've written the script, now what do I do? It was more like those types of books.
Figuring it out as you
I
go.
did take David Mamet's class, master class. Those master classes are pretty cool, and you can learn a lot.
The ones that are advertised.
Yeah, they're $99, and there's a hub of other writers. I find what I find helpful, and it's not so much, you either can write or you can't. You either have the craft or you
even
can't.
just in life in general.
Yeah,
like, is there stuff that...
but just networking and talking to fellow creative people is a lot of fun. I really like someone like you. I remember when I first saw you on stage, I came up to you immediately and I'm like, I like you. You're so funny. I'm so glad you're in Bend. You know, let's connect. And I think I friended you on Facebook. I really like talking shop with other writers and actors. I find it fascinating how they approach their craft. And I was in a writers group in Bend for a while. We were all different writers. One was a novelist, one was a screenwriter. A couple of them dabbled in plays. But it was always interesting. But I felt like the writers group, they had almost attended too many classes or too many conferences. It was like, well, by page 5, the antagonist should be introduced. I'm like, what? I felt chained, you know? And so I don't think I'm the best source. I've taught playwriting courses, not taught. I did something with the library recently, thoroughly enjoyed it. I worked with an 8th grader out of a middle school. She had to find somebody in her career field and she found me and I mentored her.
Neat.
And I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I see that coming down the pipes for me, actually, working with teens maybe or helping other writers who are earlier in their, I mean, I'm surely not the expert. But I've gotten myself far enough along where I can give them some tips for sure. And that fascinates me and excites me. I like the idea of that. Unfortunately, I'm reading Howard Stern's book. I listen to podcasts, but I like it when they interview the movie stars I like. I'm listening to Dax Shepard a lot because I find him fascinating the way he interviews the stars. It's kind of like this, you know. So I like to learn about the celebrities I like. So I don't really read much about writing so much. I subscribe to the Hollywood Reporter. I find that fascinating. You learn a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I really enjoy hearing about the industry and what's being bought and what's being optioned and what money is out there and where it's going and who's making it and who's spending it. I find that fascinating. I just messaged a writer who was, an article was written about her, my Hollywood Reporter, and she produces films, and she says, I wouldn't mind working in theater again, producing something with theater. Reached out to her right away, hasn't seen my message, but I do a lot of networking that way. So I have more of a hustle approach to things and not a traditional approach to things. Right, wrong, otherwise, I don't know. I just know when I do hit it, they're going to call me an overnight success, and I've been at it a long time. And that's fine.
You're like a 10-year overnight success.
And you notice I'll say when I hit it, and it's not me being confident. I have to say it for me. I have to believe I'm doing this for a reason. That there is a method to my madness, that I'm not wasting my time. I know I'm a good writer. I don't have to have that validation anymore. At first, I was like, when do I get to call myself a playwright? You know, when does that even happen? I would never say it out loud. I hadn't earned it, in my opinion, even though I did have a play out there. I didn't feel I earned it. They started calling me it locally, and I would like, oh God, I'm almost embarrassed. I would be in the background of my.
They're going to find me out.
I felt undeserved. And I am very proud to say I'm a playwright. Absolutely.
That's great.
I am. Am I making a living on it? You know, but I am. And I'm proud of that. But I'm not quite at the point where I want to be, and I'm inching towards it more and more every day. I think I'm on to something. Thank God. I'm 102. But I don't know if I could reference, you know what? Find your network. Find the people who are like you. I belong to an official Playwrights page on Facebook. I find them all fascinating. I've reached out to several of those playwrights. I also, I am a big fan of those festivals and contests. I applied to a lot of them. And if there's a fee, more so. A lot of playwrights will not, I'm not paying $10 to submit my work. I'm like, I'll pay it then, get out of my way. More for me, get out of my way, because there's hundreds and hundreds. I'm a big fan of those. You learn a lot, every submission is different. You know, sometimes they give you feedback.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
I didn't used to do table reads. I do now. It helps. You know, you get good feedback. And I'm an open book. Anyone can get a hold of me. I'm happy to give any tips or any advice that I have.
That was actually going to be my final question for you is...
Don't call me Charlie.
What's the best way? Yeah, I'm going to post your private, post your address and your number on the site.
On my email.
But no, what's the best place for people to find out more about you and reach out to you and get in touch?
Well, I do have a website. I don't keep it up as much as I should. I find that hard. That's hard to update a website.
And it can be a full-time thing.
Oh my gosh, it's exhausting. I just kind of want a page, like a Facebook page. You can find me on Facebook. I'm very easy to get a hold of.
Okay.
CricketDaniel.com is my website. Cricket Daniel Playwright on Facebook. I'll friend anybody. I'm that desperate. My email is cricket@cricketdaniel.com. I'm an open book. I'm very accessible. I want to be that for people. If I make it, that's the first thing I'm going to do. I am going to either talk to classes, make myself available, be a mentor. It frustrates me when I reach out to people I respect and I either get a kind of a cocky negative response or no response. I'm like, you know what? It wasn't that long ago when you were hoping to God somebody would respond to you.
Right.
Or read your stuff. Or can I get everyone a job? Probably not. You know, like hook me up, put me on staff.
Right.
Maybe not. But man, if I can open up a door, if I know that you're good enough and I can vouch for you and say, you know, you might want to take a look at her. She's good. I don't have that ego. More the merrier.
Right.
Bring it. When I see other playwrights in town putting on their stuff, I'm like, good for you, man. I'm the first one there to see it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. You know.
And is that like, are you all in on coordinating or networking with other local playwrights or?
Yeah, I mean we're all friends. It's been small enough.
It's a small enough town.
We don't get together or anything, but I use them for my 24/7.
Right.
You know, I'm a big fan of. There's a guy named Chris. He's been in my writer of my mind before, and he's had some stuff at CTC. Really enjoy his style of writing. Laura Lee Kaufman, she's got a terrific style where she brings things, inanimate objects or babies to life. You get to hear what they're thinking. I've used her before. I'm fans of people out there. More than that, now I feel bad I'm even saying names because there's so many writers out there that are so talented. Susan Noyes used to live in Bend. She's my favorite. She's my go-to 24/7 theater writer. She won't be joining us this year. Pat Cruz has been a writer for me every single year for 24/7. I got my favorites. Todd Hansen, who's a screenwriter. He writes films. He did 24/7 last year and won.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it kind of was a film, but he's very good. His wife writes with her partner. There's a gal that's new to town from Santa Barbara. I have not met her yet. We're friends on Facebook. I would love to connect with her.
Wow.
So there's
I love the sound of the 24/7 festival. Like,
you want in?
Yeah, I was kind of like,
as an
maybe
actor?
we should talk. Yeah, as an actor. I don't think
I don't
as a
normally
writer.
take newbies, but I have seen you on stage, Charlie.
I mean, maybe I'm not good enough. I would, you know, you can make that call. But yeah, like it sounds chaotic and just hilariously
it's
insane.
Fun. It's terrifying. Actor in town, Scott, he's no longer here, unfortunately. We lost him to Idaho recently.
Scott Michelson.
No, Scott's the piano guy, but Scott Schultz.
Okay,
you know Scott Schultz?
Okay.
He was an actor for 24/7. I'm trying to think, it was the first year, the second year, he literally threw up backstage right before he came on. He was terrified. He threw up and said, never again. I think he directed the second year. Never again. It's terrifying. It's terrifying anyway when you go out. I mean, you're an actor. Right before you hit that stage, you're like, oh my gosh, all the lines are gone. Like, what's my first line?
Right.
You have that terrifying,
exactly, yeah.
almost like a dream, real quick, like I've forgotten it all.
Yeah.
And they literally got the scripts that morning. And they're only 10-page plays.
Right.
And I tell the writers, if you write a monologue, I'm going to wring your neck. I mean, even
like,
it
don't
out.
write a 3-page monologue for some poor bastard that has to go out there and be like...
It's awful. It's terrifying. And then I try to tell the playwrights, you're not going to hear every brilliant line that you wrote. I can guarantee you it. there's a chance an entire page is gone. You cannot get upset with these actors. This is for fun, guys.
Yeah.
This is for fun. Because I don't know if I've ever seen a flawless performance of any of my plays.
Well, sure. Even a rehearsed play, like there is
That's
always
right. Always.
like things just happen.
It's a bummer as a playwright, and sometimes
I'm sure there are those moments where it's like the big line. Like you want to make sure that one big line or those few couple
or
of
that
interchanges.
scene, you want it so bad, and because so and so's in the audience, or
Right.
I can't remember what play it was. I do an industry night when I was a producer here. Nobody else kind of caught on to that, but I would do a show on a Monday night so that other actors and other shows can see my show.
Oh, right.
Or
that's a
bartenders
great
or
idea.
musicians. Industry night. I got the idea from Funky Little Theater Company in Colorado Springs. They did an industry night for the waiters, for the bartenders, for the musicians.
Right.
And I had the cast of the Charlie Brown Snoopy one.
Yeah.
I can't think of it. It was at CTC.
Yeah.
And damn if that cast wasn't here. And I think like the most pivotal moment of the entire play, it was my Christmas play, was gone. And it made the scenes down the road make no sense. And I thought, I'm going to throw up.
You're
And
like,
it never been missed.
Right.
And these are peers. I actually care what these actors think about me. I
Right.
do. I wish I didn't. Part of me is like,
Yeah.
oh, fine, nah, who cares? I don't care. Because
But we all do. We all do care, especially when it's people whose opinions you respect.
I do. I respect everyone's opinions.
Maybe not Joe off the street.
Yeah. Do have you met Julia Ray yet? She's a brilliant director in town. She works mostly at CTC.
No,
She's
I
got like a
don't know
back
Julia.
east accent. And every year she'd come see my plays because she'd work the door.
Right.
Every year, not a smile, nothing. I'm like, someday I'm going to get Julia. And I've worked with her as an actress.
Right.
It never hurts my feelings, ever. She's a drama lady. She directs brilliant, beautifully, beautiful dramas. And so I'm not her style of writing at all.
Right.
And every year I'd be like, this is the year I'm going to get her.
She's going to crack a smile,
no,
damn it.
Never. And never really says anything. Might say congratulations, but not
Right.
much. And it's not because she's mean. She respects me. I respect her. When she rolled into town, we did a play together. She used to be an actress. And the Lost Virginity tour, she said, Cricket, I loved it. I'm like, Julia, I knew I'd get you someday. I knew it 10 years later. I knew it.
That's awesome.
She loved it.
You're like, my life is complete.
Yeah, a little bit, I mean, there's certain people out there, all of them. Honestly, I do respect all the actors and directors and writers in this town. I think they're all unique and brilliant in their own way and what they got going on. I'm like, hats off to you. If I helped a little along the way, I'm thrilled.
Right.
And if I didn't,
Well, and again, like we said before, the talent of acting, singing, dancing, directing.
Amazing.
It's just way better than you would expect for a town in the middle of Oregon.
I used to be an actress in this town. I would get cast once in a while. I can guarantee you right now I would not be cast at all in one single play. The talent.
Right. Yeah.
Honestly, I've seen.
Well, I think the only reason I ever get cast is because I'm an adult male. It's like
you
there's
can
such a
play an
small
elf.
population.
I do have a Christmas show called Elf U.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I need elves, and it's very rated R, and it's very
even better. I'm
very unpolitically correct. And if I only write it for me and it never sees the light of a stage, I'm okay with it because I love it. And Santa Claus is an asshole because he was in Rudolph.
Right.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. Incredibly
he was such
insulting.
A jerk.
Yeah.
To the elves, to the reindeer.
The old stop motion
it was
animation.
Awful,
Yeah.
So I love it. And so and these elves start a cheating ring. They start getting their toys made in China at Elf University because only the best elves get to work at Santa's workshop. So I got that going on. You'd make a great elf.
But so it's cool to me that you have an array of things going at all times.
I do.
Like the 24/7 fest and the Lost Virginity tour is happening right now, and you have a Christmas.
Yeah, I ended up writing a Christmas play because I'm like, every single website I go to, the Playhouse always has a Christmas play. Well, let's get in that Christmas spirit, Cricket, and crank out a Christmas play because maybe it might open more doors, and it did.
Right.
That play has been produced quite a bit as well. So I thought that's probably a good thing to write. So I wrote a contemporary Christmas play that still held the magic of all the classics we were raised with, and I love it. It's a great show, and I had a great cast. you know. So, but
and you have an amazing family, an amazing husband of 24
bad.
years, and an incredible daughter, it sounds like.
Oh God, now the other shoe's gonna drop. Thanks a lot for nothing,
Right,
Charlie.
sorry,
Here
knock
comes the
on wood.
diagnosis.
I will.
Damn you, Charlie.
Sorry if I have completely jinxed
God.
you. I apologize.
It's over. You can cut it now. Cut the camera.
Right, yeah.
It's over. You fucked up everything.
I'm sorry.
My French.
I'm sorry. I thought I was
speak
just
French at the end of this interview.
I thought I was just trying to like bring
You
it
did.
all
You
full
brought it into a
circle,
nice little
wrap it
bow.
up with a bow, and
Okay,
instead of
you know what?
instead
then
of
let's go
jinxed you
back there.
forever.
You're right. I'm very lucky.
Okay.
But I'm getting very impatient. I'm ready to hit. I think I'm ready. Am I ready? I'm ready.
You sound more than ready.
God, please, if you're listening to this, Charlie, how many viewers do we have? 2, 3?
Yeah.
100?
We're in the tens.
Call me.
Yeah. Well, thank you for this. Like this was a huge amount of fun for me, and
Was it?
I've learned a ton about you. Like I knew a little bit about what you were doing as a playwright, but I had no idea that you were doing all that you are doing. I mean, the 24/7 fest and
Jack of all, no trades.
But it sounds incredible. Like it's been a lot of fun for me.
It's been fun for me. I thought for sure I'd flip it and ask more about you, but I'm sorry. It's just
That's all right.
Jabberjaw.
We can always
Which was my
always
nickname
do
as a kid, by the way, Jabberjaw.
We can do a round 2 down the road.
Let's do a round 2 of part 2.
And maybe we'll get to talk about whatever play. It sounds like whatever handful of things you have going.
I got some stuff going on. I've got a
awesome.
couple of plays coming down the works. So if I say it out loud, I have to write it, right? So I've got
Sure, yeah.
Spreading Joy, and I've got Bedlam in New Brunswick. And so I'm excited about both of them.
That's great.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And then my elf you. I'm going to have to get back to.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about
And
that.
you could be one of my elves. Okay? But I figured if I say it out loud, it's kind of like when you tell people you're on a diet. That way, if they bust you a Red Robin having onion rings, they might say something. So if you see me out there, just say, "How's that Spreading Joy coming along?
Right.
How's that Bedlam in New Brunswick coming along?"
Awesome.
So I gotta get going on those. I'm a very lazy playwright.
Well, Cricket, thank you. This has been
Thank you,
this has been
Charlie.
a blast, an absolute
Oh,
blast.
thank you.
So,
Thank you so much for having
thanks
me.
for this.